Greetings everyone, Liam here, and welcome to Cine Review Hub. In our weekly segment, we're taking a quick look at the latest happenings in cinema, from new films hitting the big screen to the freshest celebrity buzz. First up, let's talk about Warner Bros., which caused quite a stir last week. The company is pouring a massive amount of money into marketing its films, especially Superman. As you know, Superman is a huge deal in the US, much like Star Wars. In test screenings, critics praise the actors and the story, but they describe the visual effects and some subplots as cliched. Still, the film received solid scores, 83 from Rotten Tomatoes and 70 from Metacritic. Reputable publications like Variety and The Hollywood Reporter gave it an 80, which is excellent for a Superman film. For comparison, Zack Snyder's Superman got a 57. Critics compared the two films and said that even with all its flaws, James Gunn's Superman is better than Zack Snyder's because it's not just an empty action flick, it focuses on developing Superman's character. The film's marketing has been incredibly aggressive. The movie itself had a budget of $225 million, and its marketing budget was $200 million. What did they do with all that money? For instance, they bought most of the billboards in New York and Los Angeles. They even installed a 3.5-meter statue of Superman inside a skyscraper called the Shard, making it the largest promotional statue in the history of the UK. Interestingly, the statue was 3D printed and designed using a 3D scan of the actor's body. They also had other costly campaigns in the US, like a nearly 10-meter statue of Superman and a massive drone show with thousands of drones creating the Superman logo in the sky. The Chinese company that put on the show specializes in using thousands of drones as pixels to create huge aerial displays. Another cool marketing trick was having James Gunn and Zack Snyder appear in a new episode of the animated show Rick and Morty. In the episode, the two directors argue and throw shade at each other. Zack Snyder tells James Gunn, "I saw your Superman. It was good, but he was more of a talkative man than a man of steel." Then Snyder mocked himself, saying, "If you want your movie to be cool, I'll teach you a trick. Just add a slow-motion shot of Superman punching something. It'll make your movie really interesting." This was a nod to a technique Snyder used so often in his Superman films that it became a running joke on social media. NVIDIA also launched a promotional tour with Superman and released a special Superman-themed graphics card. They're holding a raffle, and some people who buy a movie ticket will win one of these graphics cards. With these kinds of expenses, experts predict the film needs to sell at least $700 million in tickets to avoid being a commercial failure. However, James Gunn reacted to that number, saying they don't need such high sales to be profitable. It's predicted that in its first 3 days, Superman will gross $150 million in the US and $100 million in other countries. The other interesting thing is that even though Zack Snyder himself has no issue with the film and is even on its promotional tour, his fans have a big problem with it. The film hasn't even been released to the public yet, but they've attacked several websites and given it a rating of 1, causing its overall score to drop. The marketing team hasn't underestimated the power of social media and is intentionally trying to create waves to keep the film's name in constant conversation. For example, Rachel Brosnahan, who plays Lois, gave a new interview where she said a kiss scene in the film took 4 hours to shoot because James Gunn kept telling them to repeat the scene until he got the kiss he wanted. Many people guess this is just a promotional gimmick since James Gunn has given the green light to much simpler scenes. For instance, in the flying scene, the actor's eyes weren't even looking in the right direction, but he still approved it. The actors' styles on the red carpet have also been getting a lot of attention. The marketing team made sure the actors looked very sharp on the red carpet. Isabella Merced, whom we know from the second season of The Last of Us, had her photos go viral on social media, and she got a lot of attention. While on the Superman red carpet, James Gunn also spoke about Batman 2. He said he finally got to read the script after years and called it excellent. He announced that filming is set to begin this winter, likely December 2025. Why the delay? Because Warner Bros., which is also producing Batman, is currently making Dune 3, and apparently Dune is a bigger priority for them. Robert Pattinson is set to star in the film. Last week, Denis Villeneuve, the director, posted a picture of a desert from Jordan, officially confirming that filming has begun and will continue until January 2026. There's also some interesting talk, though not officially confirmed, that the film will be shot entirely with IMAX cameras. If that happens, it would be only the second movie in history, after Christopher Nolan's new film, to be 100% shot with IMAX cameras. Still, this hasn't been officially confirmed. Timothée Chalamet also completely shaved his head for his role in the third Dune film. Last week, when he was in public, he tried to hide his baldness with both a hat and a scarf over the hat, but he wasn't very successful. Two new actors have also been added to the Dune film: Nakoa Wolf Manakapo Namaka Eha Momoa and Ada Brooke. You might think I just said two names, but that's just the name of one of them, Jason Momoa's son. The other is Ada Brooke. These two will play Paul Atreides' twins, which means they'll play Timothée Chalamet's children. Jason Momoa's son is only 16, and this will be the first feature film he has a role in. One more piece of news from Warner Bros. The company has spent so much money recently that last week it rejected Tom Cruise's new film. The movie is called Deeper, and Ana de Armas was also supposed to star in it. The film was going to be shot deep in the ocean, and its budget was supposed to be $275 million. Warner Bros. Told Tom Cruise they had no money left and were only willing to spend a maximum of $230 million. So the production has been halted for now. However, it's been said that Tom Cruise, as one of the producers, is looking for another company to fund his film. His reaction to Warner Bros.' decision was to go have another dinner with Ana de Armas, and the chef of the restaurant even took a selfie with them that later went viral on social media. We'll have to wait and see if Tom Cruise succeeds in getting new funding for his film. Let's move on to the next news from Disney. Last week, the company announced it plans to either remake or create sequels for all of its old stories. First, they announced that all Indiana Jones films will be remade, and production on all of them will begin within the next 5 years. The actor who will replace Harrison Ford is either Glenn Powell or Chris Evans, as Disney hasn't decided yet. One of these two will star in the various remakes of Indiana Jones in the coming years. Fox, a subsidiary of Disney, also announced it will be remaking the Night at the Museum movies. However, they aren't going to retell the same story. Apparently, the films will have a new plot and none of the old characters will return. They're bringing in new actors for everyone. They also announced they're making a sequel to the animated film Garfield, which is also a remake of the previous films. Because of all these remakes, Disney has been criticized on social media for its repetitive storytelling. Disney also had another challenge last week, a wave of criticism against the TV series Ironheart. Robert Downey Jr. came out and defended the series. Ironheart is a character who replaces Iron Man, and Robert Downey Jr. said that anyone who doesn't like the new series is a racist. This statement received negative feedback, and many people found this kind of defense ridiculous. The series score on IMDb is 4.3, with 46,000 votes. The number of viewers for this series was so low that Disney didn't even release the viewership numbers, even though they used to release weekly viewership stats for Daredevil. This also started a new trend online, where many people speculated that the Wonder Man movie would suffer the same fate. Wonder Man is a superhero in the Marvel Universe with special powers, very similar to the Hulk. He doesn't age, doesn't get hungry, and has immense strength. The actor they cast for this role is Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, and many people predict this miniseries will be hated on social media, just like Ironheart. Now, let's move on to Netflix news, which is related to Disney. Netflix released some new data showing that in the past year alone, 50% of its users have started watching anime. This number has tripled in the past year, and the fan base for these animations is growing every day. It's speculated that this is because anime stories have more variety and creativity and don't tell the same story over and over. That's why Netflix is making huge investments to turn these animes into live-action adaptations, like what they did for Avatar and One Piece. For example, last week they ordered a live-action series based on the anime Solo Leveling, with Byeon Woo-seok set to play the lead role. The company also ordered a second season of the anime Cyberpunk. The second season will have an independent story from the first, will have 10 episodes, and the creator said the first season wasn't sad enough for him, and he wants to make the story much sadder this time, enough to break your heart. He interestingly said that he's happy whenever people get sad. Netflix is also making other smart investments. Apparently, a spin-off of the Oscar-winning film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is going to be made. This spin-off will be a mini-series and will tell the story from the perspective of the asylum's chief. We'll get to see where that character went and what he did after the events at the asylum. Netflix had previously made another story from this film for the nurse character, and now it wants to make more stories, especially as it's negotiating to buy the full copyright for the film. Another piece of news about upcoming films and series is the creation of a new series from The Boys. The filming of The Boys just wrapped up, and the story is set to end forever. Now filming for a new series will start exactly next month. It's called Vought Rising. This series will tell the origin story of Soldier Boy and Stormfront. Both actors who played these roles in The Boys will return for this series, and the story will be a murder mystery set in the 1950s. It will probably be ready for release in about a year. There was also another piece of news from Amazon last week, related to the series Mr. and Mrs. Smith. The first season was released about a year ago and had a lot of controversy because a black actor replaced Brad Pitt in the story. Now, a second season is going to be made with two completely new actors. The second season will have an entirely new story, with Sophie Thatcher, a young actress who is becoming famous, and a young and less-known actor named Mark O'Brien playing Mr. Smith. These two actors also received negative feedback on social media. Let's move on to celebrity news. Last week, two movie actors passed away. One was Michael Madsen, who many of you know. You've probably seen him in one of Tarantino's films like Kill Bill, The Hateful Eight, or Reservoir Dogs. This actor is a prime example of someone who didn't make good use of his life's opportunities. He became very popular in the 1990s and was a symbol of independent cinema. He gained most of his fame from Tarantino's films and also appeared in several successful romance movies. But from the year 2000 onwards, he adopted such an extravagant lifestyle that he couldn't afford his living expenses. To get money, he would appear in B and C grade movies for maybe 5 minutes just to have his picture on the movie poster and get a few $1,000s. This led to his decline after 2000. He also developed a severe alcohol addiction in the early 2000s, which caused his rapid downfall. In 2022, his son committed suicide, which caused him to fall into depression, and now, at the age of 67, he suffered a heart attack due to very heavy alcohol consumption, which was the main cause of his death. Another actor who passed away last week was Julian McMahon. If you remember the old Fantastic Four movies, he played the role of Dr. Doom. This actor died at the age of 56 from cancer. Another piece of celebrity news is about a farewell. Michael Douglas, the veteran actor, officially retired from acting last week after 60 years in the film industry. Douglas said he's been acting for 60 years and he beat cancer once, but he doesn't want to be one of those people who just drops dead in the middle of a film. So he decided to retire from acting at the age of 80. He continued by saying he's not saying he's fully retired, and if a very special project is offered to him, he will definitely return, but he doesn't think there will ever be a project that special. Another farewell was followed by a return. Last week, Johnny Depp finally appeared on a reputable red carpet after several years. This was for the film Modi, which Johnny Depp produced and directed, which is why he was present at its red carpet premiere. He also gave an interview on the red carpet and talked about the Fantastic Beasts films, from which he was suddenly thrown out. The actor was preparing to appear in the third part of the film, but he said they suddenly came to him and asked him to officially resign. He said he had no other choice, but he also drew a line in the sand with Hollywood, saying, "If you think you can still hurt me, you're wrong." Hollywood is completely trying to bring Johnny Depp back into cinema. Last week, rumors surfaced that Johnny Depp has reached an agreement with Disney to act in the Pirates of the Caribbean series again. He's reportedly set to play Captain Jack Sparrow again, this time in a supporting role, and he will help the main hero. Tim Burton also had an interview last week and said he wants to make another animation after 12 years. You've seen animations from this director before, like Corpse Bride. He said he'll probably go back to Johnny Depp again. Tim Burton and Johnny Depp have had many collaborations in the past, such as Sweeney Todd and Edward Scissorhands. Another piece of celebrity news is about Hollywood couples. Last week, new photos of Sofia Vergara went viral. The actress is 52 years old and had recently broken up with her fiancé. Last week, photos of her on vacation with a 39-year-old retired athlete named Douglas Chabot went viral. It was also rumored last week that Daniela Melchior, an actress you may have seen in the Fast and Furious series, is in a relationship with Mbappé, the Real Madrid player. There was also a funny piece of news about a Hollywood couple last week. Hillary Burton, the wife of Jeffrey Dean Morgan, had an interview where she said all her high school friends, relatives, and neighbors message her saying, "Our sister," or "Our mother," or "Someone we know has a crush on your husband." Hillary's response was interesting. She said she tells them, "Well, it's normal because he's a very handsome actor." This couple has one of the most successful marriages in Hollywood. They've been together for 16 years, got married in 2019, and have 2 children, ages 7 and 15. The next piece of news is just as ridiculous and concerns Dakota Johnson. Last week, the 2025 Karlovy Vary International Film Festival was held, and Dakota Johnson won the President's Award. This is one of the oldest film festivals in Eastern Europe, and it gives its award to artists who have contributed to the development of contemporary cinema. Why was this news so strange, and why did it get a lot of attention on social media? Because Dakota Johnson hasn't had a successful film since 2019. Her acting has been heavily criticized, and she has even won a Golden Raspberry Award. Many people suspect that the festival gave her this award just to get its name heard on social media. Another piece of celebrity news is about Cosmo Jarvis, whose name may not be well known, but many of you probably know him as the one who played the white character in the TV series Shogun. This actor did something interesting. He turned down a role in Christopher Nolan's movie Odyssey. You know that many Hollywood stars are willing to take significant pay cuts, sometimes up to 70 or 80%, just to be in a Nolan film. This actor is now playing the lead role in a biopic about Stalin called Young Stalin. By turning down a supporting role in Nolan's film to play a lead role, he became more famous, and his name was heard more on social media. Before we get to the box office, there's another bit of ridiculous news. Last week, something interesting happened across all streaming services. The Rush Hour film series starring Jackie Chan got a preview warning. This means whenever you open and play one of these films, a warning appears beforehand, saying that the movie contains offensive and racist jokes. The streaming services explained that the film was made at a time when these jokes might have been more easily acceptable by society, but now it's no longer acceptable to joke about someone's race or skin color. The Rush Hour films tell the story of 2 people from completely different races and cultures who become friends through their adventures, so it actually has a positive message. But it makes very direct jokes. For example, in Rush Hour 2, the American character accidentally hits Jackie Chan and apologizes by saying, "Sorry, you all look the same." He's implying that all Chinese people look alike and are easily mistaken for each other. Because of jokes like this, the movies are now considered racist and have received a warning. Let's move on to the box office, which was very successful last week. The film Jurassic Park managed to reach $350 million in sales, which led to a major event. The total earnings of all of Scarlett Johansson's films reached $15.6 billion, and she officially became the highest-grossing actress in the history of world cinema, surpassing Robert Downey Jr. and Samuel L. Jackson. The interesting thing is that Scarlett Johansson achieved this with 33 films, while Robert Downey Jr. has done it with 43 films and Samuel L. Jackson with 64 films. Another successful film at the box office was F1, which reached $318 million in sales. Photos of the film screening in IMAX cinemas went viral last week, showcasing the very high quality of the film. The third place went to the live-action How to Train Your Dragon, which has been in theaters for a longer time and managed to reach $530 million in total sales, becoming the highest-grossing film in the franchise. The movies Mission Impossible 8 and Lilo and Stitch, which were released a month ago, have seen their sales drop so much that they are no longer in the top 5. Mission Impossible, with a $400 million budget, sold $577 million in tickets, and Lilo and Stitch has crossed the $1 billion mark. And now for the final ridiculous news. The first piece of news is about the Wimbledon tennis championships. Attending these tournaments is considered a very prestigious thing to do, so many wealthy people like movie stars go to watch them in person. For example, last week Andrew Garfield went with his girlfriend Monica Barbero to watch the matches. But the ridiculous part of the story is about Hugh Grant, who apparently isn't a fan of tennis. It doesn't excite him, and he's gotten a bit old. He forced himself to go to the tournament to do something classy. The result was that he kept dozing off from the very beginning of the match. He would force himself to wake up, try to focus, but it was no use. He would fall back asleep 2 minutes later. He continued this until he was pretty much asleep for the entire match. Finally, when the match ended, he woke up and ran away without giving any interviews. The second piece of ridiculous news is about Nicole Kidman's husband, Keith Urban. He was being interviewed on an Australian radio network when they asked him a private question without any prior coordination. How do you feel when you see your wife acting in romantic scenes with handsome men like Zac Efron? Nicole Kidman's husband had a ridiculous reaction. As if he had never been in such a situation before, he suddenly hung up the phone. This caused a big controversy, with people asking what it meant. Was he angry? Maybe his relationship with Nicole Kidman was in trouble? Later, Keith Urban himself released a statement saying, "First of all, I didn't hang up. I was doing the interview with my media team, and it seems it wasn't coordinated with them that private questions could be asked. So they were the ones who hung up the phone. I had no problem with it. I didn't hang up." But many people suspect he's lying and that he got angry and hung up himself. Well everyone, that's it for today's video. I hope you found it interesting. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel for next week's video. Goodbye!